A coalition of groups in Albuquerque are pushing for a new city ordinance that would require employers to offer workers a chance to earn paid sick leave. The Healthy Workforce Act calls for workers to earn 1 hour of sick leave for every 30 hours worked. There would be different requirements for large and small employers. Now, what do you think about this proposed ordinance? Get in touch with us here at NewMexicoInFocus.org or find us on Facebook or Twitter. I'm joined at the line table this week by Eddie Aragon from the Rock of Talk on 95.9 FM. Former State Representative Janice Arnold-Jones is here. Sophie Martin, an attorney and editor of DukeCityFix.com, and Antoinette Cedillo-Lopez, Executive Director of Enlace Comunitario. Antoinette, you work with immigrant families with your group. What is I bring it up to ask this. What is the fundamental driver behind this idea? What is the problem that we're trying to solve with the sick leave?
Families. This is all about supporting families. Enlace Comunitario is one of the organizations that signed on to this. I personally signed on to it. I think it's really important that families have this opportunity to take care of the members within the family. We know so many social problems grow out of not having adequate support for families. So that's the primary drive. But I also think it's good for businesses and good for New Mexico, because I think that if it creates loyalty. We offer this, of course, at our agency.
Employee?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, people complain about the turnover of employees. Right. Well, if you're not paying them for this kind of basic fundamental thing, why would you be surprised if they leave?
That's a good point.
So I think it's really important, and we're very supportive of this.
Let me go across to Sophie and ask you this as well. Is the paid sick leave thing is tricky. For a lot of companies, you have to show loyalty to them for a bit of time before you start getting things like paid sick leave. If I'm understanding this correctly, it would be automatic right off the top as soon as you're hired.
Correct.
Does that give pause by any chance, or is that an opportunity to play games for some people?
Well, I mean, you say right off the bat, but the truth is you don't get an hour until you've worked 30 hours. So
Right.
it's not like day 2 of your employment, you're like, I don't feel good, I'm not coming in, where's my pay?
Right.
I mean, it is staged so that you earn that time over time.
Okay.
And that, I think, helps to address that issue. You know, one of the things that's really struck me about this debate is that what the groups that we're talking about, the people we're talking about who would be impacted by this, are people working in industries that really can't move to other places. Restaurants, childcare, things like that, where they're hyper-local. And so I think this provides an opportunity to benefit local employees, to benefit our local community. I'm looking forward to not being one of the 20% of cases of people getting food poisoning because somebody working in the kitchen was sick. I hope I said that clearly. 20% of food poisoning cases are because your server, your cook, your busboy were sick.
That's right.
So, I mean, I think that's an important public health issue as well.
Janice, does that override any angst that employers might have? Have you heard enough from just these two folks that it's a lot deeper than what we just talked about?
I would be shocked. No. So first, let's get this out there. This is about driving people to the polls in November. That's what this is about. Whether this is as strong as some of the other issues that have been a referendum issue at the polls, probably not. I find this to be a weaker issue. Now, as Antoinette said, if you want to keep your employees, this is what you do by choice. When you mandate it, it's no longer a choice. And there is another side. So for people who would like to work part-time, this is now a requirement. For businesses hanging on by their fingernails who want to treat their employees fairly, this becomes really problematic, especially on the split shift workers. And one of the things I know as a business owner is, I wanted to be able to offer PTO. That's 10 federal holidays and 5-day sick leaves. By the way, this ordinance exceeds that. And so if you want that kind of a job, go to an employer that already offers that. But don't drive jobs out of the market, which is what this is going to do. I am scared to death that we'll have no table service in a restaurant. We will not sit down anymore for this kind of job. And there are a lot of other jobs where people would like to go and work part-time. But I don't know of anybody who is not permitted to call up and say, I'm sick. And you make that choice.
Meaning as it stands now, people have the right to call and just be sick and not expect to be fired or,
Absolutely. You know, and in the case of, having had a very sick parent, there's this part of talking to your employer and you work it out. And don't get me wrong, I know that there's some real, forgive me, they're butthead employers.
Sure,
I get that.
sure.
But they're the minority. What you will do to the majority of the businesses is very serious.
Eddie, your thoughts on this? Is this too much because if you have one employee, just one, you're in. You have to
from
give
day
this,
one,
yeah,
right?
From day
I
one.
mean, that's the way
right.
it works. So, I mean, you're going to have more businesses, I think, kind of alternate the way that they approach business. I mean, you're looking at effectively a 4% tax on businesses. That's the way they're going to look at it. You know, I understand Antoinette's point in the terms of loyalty, but you know, it shouldn't be something that the government has to force upon businesses. You know, good business people are going to go ahead and offer the right incentives for their employees. You mentioned it's good for business, then you mentioned loyalty, Antoinette. I think, yeah, that's good, but a good business will try and create that type of loyalty. They don't need the government to come in from day one and establish that. I haven't heard of
Let me interrupt for a quick sec.
Sure.
What happens if, as Janice mentions, this goes to a vote for a referendum and it passes? That's not the government saying we want you to do this. That's our community saying we want to do this. Is that different in your view?
No, I mean, if the people vote on it, they raise the number of signatures. This is the way our government works. I don't have a problem with that in the least. I'm just interested also to Janice's point about the election year driving people to the polls. You know, anything that will drive that particular group of people to the polls is certainly fine too. I mean, that's fair, right? That's fair. I'm totally fine. But to get back, you know, the reason why people go into business is because they can't work for somebody else. Same with me. I don't go into business because I can work for anybody else. I go into business for myself. You think as an entrepreneur or a business owner that we're looking forward to getting new edicts from the city of Albuquerque in terms of demands and it's already, you know, onerous enough for businesses to go ahead and run themselves, and now you want to throw this on top of it at 4%. Right now we're getting ourselves into a position in terms of being a little bit too tough for allowing businesses to grow. You've seen the rankings, 147th in
Let me ask you
business.
this. This is not an unusual thing, sick leave. I don't think a lot of folks would
Not if you're
consider
looking
this
at San
onerous
Francisco or
you know.
very pro-growth places where
Sure.
San Jose is number one, and you know you have San Francisco benefiting. Those are different environments. We're New Mexico. We're
Let me swing over
Albuquerque.
back to Antoinette on this. I like this idea of loyalty that you mentioned, but how about loyalty from the employers to the employee? Is this, in your minds, is this a way to retain good employees?
That's exactly right. That's exactly, I think that employers should do this because it will help with the turnover issue, as I said before. But I'm actually interested in your math, because it's only 5 days a year. 5 paid, and I guess it
One
depends
for
on the
every
pay.
30, Antoinette, is what I'm thinking. So when I'm doing the
Okay.
math and we say 1 hour for every 30,
Okay.
well, that requires about a 3.33%.
Up to 5 days a year. And
yeah.
so when you look at 5 days a year out of the years, I came up with 2%, but I think it's a math question. I just
Either
don't
way,
think it's that
just
expensive.
an additional percentage that we're giving to
Beyond
the...
that, I feel like it's important to say, you know, at this table, in this country, in this city, we see fundamental disagreements about the role of government. Very strong feelings on both sides. It remains to be seen whether the Albuquerque electorate, and this group is banking on this idea that the Albuquerque electorate is going to say the role of the government is to protect the little guy, the role of the government is to make sure there's a fair and even playing field, the role of the government is to make sure that the health and safety, not just of our workers, but also of our community, that those are protected. And it seems to me that when the vote comes down, we'll have a better sense of how Albuquerque feels about that as a whole. This table seems to be pretty 50-50.
Like
Well,
it makes-
interesting though, you know, I appreciate your point, Sophie, on this, because they need 11,128 signatures from registered voters here in the county, in the city, to get this on the ballot, but they have a 60-day deadline. It finishes July 8th. But I appreciate Janice bringing this up because this seems to be a permanent part of our political landscape now, this idea of referendums to get them on the ballot. And we've got some history. We've got the biopark tax. We've got the abortion restrictions. We've got the minimum wage increase. You know what I mean? There's things that have made their way onto the ballot.
It's the channel for citizens who don't feel that their voice is with the decision makers
Right.
and the power. This is the channel, and that's, like I said, if you look at these groups, these are groups who particularly don't feel heard.
And one of the challenges is with referendums, just having been a legislator, is they are often poorly written. They make assumptions about the set of laws that this law has to fit into, and it often has terrible
The
consequences.
legalities get tricky, yeah.
I've
Please,
got
go
one
ahead.
point
Yep,
just to make.
absolutely.
Back in 2001, the private sector constituted 67% of New Mexico's growth. Today, you're looking at 58%.
That's a big
We need to
job.
attract private
Sure.
business. We need to grow this economy, and the only way we're going to do it.
We have a minute left. I'll stay with you on this. Is this idea of businesses leaving our state to go to another state that does not have local laws that could make this happen. Do you buy that? Because I have to say again, paid sick leave is not that unusual a deal around the rest of the country.
So the sick
where
leave,
these businesses are
Gene,
going to
you're
go to
right.
escape
I mean, the
this,
sick leave,
you know?
but it's just another layer, you know. But we haven't even adopted the right to work. 9 of the top 10 growth states in the entire country, they're all right to work states. We failed to pass that type of legislation again.
I think
We're
I've
just-
seen numbers of the opposite
Yeah.
on that, on right to work.
Well, I can tell you specifically which states they are. When
That's
we
okay.
when you start looking
But-
at that.
But paid leave, I'm going to finish with Sophie here, but paid leave again, this idea of making it attractive for, making Albuquerque seem more whole as an employer base. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not quite so far behind. Is it worth it just for that alone?
Listen, I think,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we've touched on this idea that bigger cities, more prosperous cities have laws like this.
Right.
And I think that what hasn't yet been answered to everyone's satisfaction is the cart and the horse, right? Which comes first?
Right.
Is it citizen-friendly, worker-friendly policies that come first? And that are priorities for you know, quality of life, which our employer, you know, our businesses say we're looking for quality of life. We want good places to live. We're not going to North Carolina because of that, you know, what's happening
For
there.
example.
We're worried about Mississippi. So we have to make a decision. We haven't put quality of life first here. We haven't put education here first here. We haven't put training first here. And I believe as a result, we're not seeing the kind of growth that we would like to see, that we need to see.
Let's
to
see what the
mention the
voters have
social
to
problems.
say. There you go. When we come back to the line, we'll talk about whether voters care if candidates are running in districts that they don't actually live in.